Drink salt water every morning on an empty stomach. Let me start by asking you a simple question. When was the last time you really thought about how you begin your morning? I mean those very first few moments after you open your eyes and set your feet on the floor. For a lot of folks, especially once we reach our 60s and beyond, mornings can feel like more of a challenge than a fresh start. Maybe you feel stiff when you get out of bed, or maybe your energy just isn't what it used to be. Sometimes it's as if your body is still asleep even after you're up and moving. And that's exactly why this little habit I'm about to share can make such a difference. It's something surprisingly simple. It doesn't require a trip to the store or a fancy gadget. It's just a glass of warm salt water, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I know it might sound a little unusual at first. Most of us grew up hearing we should watch our salt, especially for our hearts and blood pressure. But what I'm talking about isn't about loading up on salt. It's about using a very small, intentional amount to support your body's natural balance. You see, as we get older, hydration and digestion both tend to slow down. The body holds on to waste a little longer than it should, and sometimes even drinking regular water doesn't seem to help things move along the way it once did. That's where warm salt water comes in. A simple mix, just half a teaspoon of natural sea salt in a glass of warm water, can gently encourage your system to wake up, flush out toxins, and get your digestion working smoothly again. Now, before we dive deeper, let me just say, this isn't about replacing any advice from your doctor. If you have specific conditions, you should always check in with your healthcare provider. But for many healthy seniors, this simple habit can make mornings feel lighter and more comfortable. Let's take a moment to talk about why salt water is different from just plain water. When you drink plain water on an empty stomach, especially first thing in the morning, it hydrates you, which is great, but it might pass through your system without quite triggering the response your body sometimes needs. Adding a small pinch of natural salt creates something known as a balanced electrolyte solution. It's not just about salt, it's about helping your cells absorb that hydration more effectively. Think of it like watering a plant. If the soil is too dry and hard, water might just roll right off the top. But if you moisten it a little first, everything soaks in better. That's what this habit does for your body. It helps your cells actually take in the water and get things flowing the way they should. One of the first benefits people often notice after trying this morning salt water habit is improved digestion. I spoke with a gentleman named Mr. Lewis, who'd been dealing with sluggish bowels for years. He'd tried fiber supplements, herbal teas, you name it. But it wasn't until he started drinking a small glass of warm salt water each morning that things finally began moving more regularly. It's not a miracle cure. It's just about supporting what your body is already designed to do, especially as things slow down with age. Another thing to consider is how salt water can gently support natural detoxification. Overnight, your body works hard to process and filter everything from the day before. When you wake up, your system is ready to flush those toxins out. That's why your first bathroom trip of the day always feels like such a relief. But if your system isn't fully hydrated or you're missing those balancing minerals, that process can be slower, leaving you feeling bloated or sluggish. By adding that bit of salt, you're helping your kidneys and digestive system clear things out efficiently, making room for fresh energy as your day begins. And the difference can be surprisingly noticeable. Mr. Arthur, a neighbor of mine, once shared how he felt years younger after just a week of this habit, lighter on his feet, clearer in his mind, and even sleeping a little better at night. Now, of course, the type of salt matters. We're not talking about the bright white table salt that comes in a shaker that's been stripped of many of its natural minerals. What you want is unrefined sea salt or Himalayan pink salt, something natural and full of trace minerals that support your body's balance. Just half a teaspoon in a glass of warm water is enough. You don't want it too salty. It should taste gentle, not overwhelming. Some folks like to add a squeeze of fresh lemon juice to their morning salt water for a little extra flavor and benefit. Lemon helps boost vitamin C and can make the drink feel even more refreshing, especially as the weather warms up. As with anything, it's important to listen to your body. Start small. Try it for a few mornings and see how you feel. Some days you might find you only need it a couple of times a week, while others might enjoy it every single morning as part of their daily rhythm. Let's keep this conversation going. because there's more to share about how this habit fits into a healthy morning routine. Other things to pair with your salt water to really get your day started in the best way possible. Once you've gotten comfortable with that morning glass of warm salt water, it really becomes part of a larger rhythm, one that helps set your entire day up for more comfort, clarity, and steady energy. I can't tell you how many folks have shared that once they made salt water part of their morning, they naturally started paying more attention to other habits too. It's like opening the door to a simpler, gentler way of looking after yourself. One thing people often ask me after hearing about salt water is, when exactly should I drink it? And really, the most effective time is right after waking up, before you've had any coffee, tea, or food. That's when your stomach is empty and your body's natural cleansing processes are just waking up. It gives that small amount of salt and water the chance to work without having to compete with anything else in your system. You want that first sip to go straight to work, gently waking up your digestion and getting things moving. Now, as simple as it sounds, there's a small but important detail that makes this habit more comfortable and effective. Drinking the water warm, not cold. Warm water is easier on your system first thing in the morning. Cold water can feel like a shock to the body, especially when you've just woken up. Warm water, on the other hand, soothes your stomach and helps relax your internal muscles, encouraging things to flow naturally. A friend of mine, Mr. Davis, used to start his mornings with a big glass of ice water. He figured it would wake him up faster, but what he noticed was it left him feeling tight and a little bloated. Once he switched to warm salt water, he told me everything felt smoother and calmer, not just in his stomach but in his whole body. And while we're on the topic of digestion, there's another benefit here I want to touch on, something a lot of seniors deal with quietly, but don't always talk about: constipation. It's not the most glamorous subject, I know, but it's real, and it's something many people over 60 experience as part of their normal routine. The slower metabolism, the medications many folks take, and simply moving a little less all contribute. That's where that warm salt water can really shine. It helps stimulate what's called the gastrocolic reflex. That's the body's natural signal to the bowels to start moving when you put something in your stomach. The warm temperature plus the salt combine to give your system a gentle nudge without harsh laxatives or chemicals. Mr. Thomas, a gentleman I spoke with not too long ago, shared that he had been struggling with slow digestion for years. He'd tried all kinds of pills and powders, but nothing worked quite as gently and effectively as adding that small morning glass of salt water. It didn't leave him running to the bathroom in a panic, just a steady, comfortable rhythm that made mornings less stressful. Now, of course, while salt water helps with digestion and hydration, it's not the whole picture. It works best as part of a broader morning habit, pairing it with light movement and calm breathing. You see, when you combine this gentle hydration with a little body movement, everything starts flowing better. Blood circulation, digestion, mental clarity, it's all connected. After finishing your warm salt water, taking a few minutes to stretch your arms up overhead, bend slowly forward, or even walk a short lap around the room can really enhance the effects. You don't need to do anything strenuous, just enough to signal to your body, hey, we're up now, time to get moving. That helps carry the hydration from your morning drink through your entire system. I had a neighbor named Ms. Pauline who loved to pair her morning salt water with a few minutes of slow walking on her porch. She said it wasn't about getting exercise in the traditional sense, it was more about greeting the morning gently. And I really believe there's something powerful in that kind of routine, especially as we get older. Now, there's one more thing to keep in mind as you make this a habit: listening to your body's signals. If you ever feel like the salt water is too strong or leaves you feeling a little thirsty afterward, that's a sign to adjust the amount. You don't need much salt. Just half a teaspoon is plenty. And if you prefer things on the milder side, even a quarter teaspoon in your warm water can still bring benefits without feeling overpowering. Some people also ask about the kind of salt to use. It's important to stick with natural, unrefined sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. Those salts contain trace minerals that help balance electrolytes in your body, things like magnesium, potassium, and calcium. These are minerals that support your heart, muscles, and overall well-being. Table salt, the regular kind in a shaker, doesn't offer the same benefits because it's been processed and stripped of those extra nutrients. By paying attention to these small details, the temperature of the water, the type of salt, the amount, you're giving yourself the best chance to experience real, gentle benefits from this habit. And as simple as it sounds, these are the kinds of things that, when done consistently, really add up to feeling clearer, lighter, and more at ease in your own body. Let's keep this conversation going because there's still more to explore about how salt water fits into your overall health picture, ways it interacts with hydration, energy levels, and other natural habits that can keep you feeling strong and steady throughout the day. By now, you might be thinking, it's just a glass of warm salt water. Can it really make that much of a difference? And that's a fair question. But here's the thing I always share with folks in their 60s and beyond. Our bodies thrive on the small things we do consistently. It's never just one grand dramatic change. It's the quiet daily habits, like that morning glass of warm salt water, that quietly support everything else we care about. One benefit we haven't talked about yet is how salt water helps maintain mineral balance in your body. As we get older, the body doesn't hold on to key minerals as easily. You might notice things like muscle cramps, restless legs at night, or feeling lightheaded when you stand up too fast. A lot of that comes down to electrolytes, those minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium that help keep your body's electrical system running smoothly. That's where this simple morning habit really helps. Adding just a pinch of unrefined salt helps support that balance in a natural, gentle way. Not too much to cause harm, just enough to give your system what it needs to stay steady. I remember speaking with Mr. Alton, a retired carpenter, who used to get dizzy spells whenever he stood up quickly. Once he made salt water part of his mornings, those episodes eased up. It wasn't instant, but over a couple of weeks, the difference became clear. Another important point is how morning salt water helps with hydration beyond just quenching thirst. Plain water is great, of course, but for seniors, it can sometimes pass right through the system too quickly without fully absorbing into the cells. That's why some people drink plenty of water and still feel dehydrated. The small amount of salt helps your body actually hold on to the water long enough to use it properly. It's the same reason athletes use electrolyte drinks after exercise, but this is a much simpler, cleaner version without all the sugar and additives. You're giving your body the tools it needs to stay hydrated throughout the day, starting from the moment you wake up. Now, something I always like to remind folks about is moderation. Too much of a good thing isn't always better. We're not talking about gulping down large amounts of salt water or making it your only source of hydration. This is just one gentle glass, once a day in the morning. And for many people, that's all it takes to feel the benefits. I had a chat with Ms. Ruth a while back. She was worried because she'd heard too much salt was bad for the heart. And she's absolutely right, if we're talking about salty processed foods or piling on table salt with every meal. But the tiny amount in a morning glass of warm water is a whole different story. It's about balance, not overload. And once she gave it a try, she said she felt more energetic throughout her mornings and had fewer headaches too. Alongside these physical benefits, there's also something to be said for the sense of calm and ritual this habit creates. There's a kind of quiet power in starting your day with a steady, simple routine. No rush, no clutter, just you, a warm glass of water, a quiet moment before the busyness of the day begins. And for many folks, that sense of morning calm sets the tone for everything else that follows. You're not just supporting your digestion or hydration, you're giving yourself a peaceful, thoughtful start that helps the whole day flow more smoothly. Now, before we wrap up, I want to gently remind you, none of this is about chasing perfection. It's not about expecting miracles overnight. It's about showing up for yourself in small, consistent ways. A glass of warm salt water, a few deep breaths, a moment of calm. These are simple things, but they matter. If you've made it this far in our conversation, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried something like this before? Or maybe you're ready to give it a try now? Let me know down in the comments. I always enjoy reading your stories and hearing how these little habits are working for you. And if this video helped you, please remember to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. We share conversations like this all the time. Simple, honest tips for feeling good, staying healthy, and living your best life after 60. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Here's to steady mornings, strong hearts, and feeling light and clear in your body, one glass of warm salt water at a time. Take care, stay well, and I'll see you again soon.